Most clinic websites sound like resumes, a list of credentials, a boring mission statements, and walls of text about us, us, us. But patients don't want to hear another resume when they go to a website. They want to be invited into a story where they are the hero. And in this episode, I'll show you exactly how to flip your website copy so it connects instantly, builds trust, and turns the visitors into paying patients, even if you're not a professional writer. I'm going to dive into really like the what the top three pillars are for copy on your website. I think copy is one of the most important things just in general as a business owner, and you need to be good at copy just, through your newsletters. And I think being good at copy is a really good indicator that you're able to describe what your product is as well. So I think this is really important, but it's even more important on your website. Everybody is buying online these days, and people are going to your website in order to actually purchase something and find out more about what your service is. So we're going to talk about storytelling. We're going to talk about structure on your website and how to show that authority and talk about yourself, but also to invite the potential patient into their own story and how you can, with your authority, solve their problems for them. So I'm going to go dive into the three pillars of copy on your website. The first pillar is what I like to call, the patient is the hero here. So this is a story brand framework principle. If you've ever read anything about or from or by Donald Miller, who is the owner of StoryBrand, wrote the book Building a Story Brand. Highly recommend you guys reading that book. But basically what it is, in order to write copy that converts at a high level, you need to invite the customer into a story where they are the hero and you are very simply the guide in their own story. All right. And if you have a website that just talks about you, and it really doesn't talk about the person who's on your website and the reader and the potential patient, then the odds of them moving forward and being super impressed by all of the letters after your name, that's not how it works. So what you need to do is you really need to talk about the problem that that person is dealing with and how you are going to make their lives better. The number one mistake clinics makes with their website copy is they make themselves the hero and not the patient. The patients want to see themselves in the story. So when they go to your website, as they're reading through your website, what we want people to do, I call it the head nod test. As people are scrolling through your website, there should be like a ton of micro yeses happening as they go through. So they'll read a headline, and if it talks about like maybe you're running specific clinic and it talks about how you're always dealing with IT band syndrome, and you want to run 20 miles and you struggle through it and you think this is just what you have to do forever, but instead physical therapy with us is how it's going to get you to pain-free 20 miles a week. And we want the patients, when they're reading through your website, to actually see themselves in the copy and understand what the story is and what it looks like when they come in and work with you. So the way you need to position this is you are the guide in all of this stuff. So what you need to understand is what problems does your demographic have, and how you as the guide can help them get to what their aspirational identity is, or where they want to be. And if you can very clearly do that by making the patient the hero in the story and you the guide, that's how you're going to get people to move forward and want to continue working with you. So again, walls of text about you and the certifications and all the things, that all of your education. We have to remember that the general person who's looking for physical therapy, not only do they not know what physical therapy is, but they also don't know what FAAOMT is, or even what DPT is, to be totally honest with you, right? All they care about is, what they read on your website. Do they think whatever you're writing on the website is going to help them get to where they want to be and solve the problem that they have? So the more that we can talk about they are the hero in the story, and this is about them and not us, the more likely they are to actually convert and want to move forward with you. So your copy, it should really focus on their transformation and what they want to become. I talk a lot about aspirational identity. You need to understand, again, think about your demographic and who do you mainly work with? Is it just active adults? Is it runners? Are you working with new and expecting moms? Whatever your demographic is, you need to understand like if they come in and they work with you for 3 or 6 months, what do they want to become? And that's the copy that you want to have on your website. You want to talk about the potential patient and not yourself. I think, a really like a bad example of this, right, would be, ABC Physical Therapy is a premier provider of orthopedic rehab services. Again, that doesn't talk about them at all. Like that, even just that one sentence there. And people don't care if you are the premier provider of orthopedic rehab services because, again, the general person, they probably don't even know what orthopedic rehab services even means. But if you flip that and you say, you deserve to feel strong, pain-free, and unstoppable again, we'll help you get there. That is very, very clearly showing them that, like, hey, you are the hero in this story. And we are the guide who's going to help you get to where you want to be. So, I urge you guys to look through the copy on your own website and make sure that your copy speaks to the right person and, make sure that people actually see this and they understand that, all right, if I go and I work with this clinic, this is about me. This is not about them. And they are going to help me get to where I want to be because at the end of the day, it is all about the patient. Next pillar that I'm going to dive into is just to make sure that, the copy on your website is, people can understand this and people know what you're talking about and you're talking in layman's terms and your website is super easy to read. But before I do that, really quick, I want to give you guys some free resources to help you figure out where to talk about the patient being a hero. So what I did was I put together a full Canva template for you guys to help you wireframe and plan out the sections of your website. So if you head over to the link in the description, you can download that for free. It's a super useful tool. Highly suggest you guys go in and taking it. Again, it's totally free. So, all right, let's move on to the visual storytelling part of your website because people don't read websites. People scan websites. And this is a super important thing to remember that your layout has to tell a story, even if they only look at it for 5 seconds. And, what you want to do here is you want to make sure, if you go to your website, simply just like scroll through it. Go on your phone, go on desktop. And if you scroll through your website, are there big points that are talking to you and telling you a story, or do you have to like kind of squint your eyes and read through paragraphs and paragraphs worth of text? Because what people do, we have to understand the psychology of a potential patient, right? They go to your website, they are not reading every single word on your website. They're scrolling really quickly. And what they're reading is going to be the headlines, they're looking at the photos, and they're looking at the big call to actions that you have on your website. So putting a lot of time and effort into writing this, big paragraph, again, about all the certifications and education you have, that's obviously going back into pillar one. That's really not what we're looking for here. So we need to make sure that you're breaking up your headlines, your subheaders, your bullets, and your call to actions. And, you really want to make sure that the main points in each section of your website is bold and it really tells a story, again, of like, how does this particular service or this page on your website, how is it going to help somebody get to what their aspirational identity is? So those headlines are the most important thing on your website, and you want to make sure that that's telling a story within each section of the website. I think the second most important thing is making sure that you have your images dialed in on the website. People read images as if they're a story, okay? So sure, they're reading the headlines, maybe they're taking a look at the subheadings, but the most important thing is going to be some professional photos on your website. So if you have stock photos on your website, or if these photos look like they were shot 10 years ago, it's going to be really hard to get somebody to convert and get them to move forward. I'll be totally honest with you. So, spending that, money on a professional photographer, I think is well worth it. You can obviously repost that stuff on Instagram. There's many different uses for that, but the main thing is going to be the storytelling that it's going to do on your website. If somebody's scrolling down your physical therapy services page and they can see, you hands-on working with somebody, then you in the gym, or you doing dry needling, or the private one-on-one treatment room that you have, that is going to show success. It's going to show smiling patients. It's going to show movement. It's really going to tell a story and depict what your service actually looks like without even actually having to say anything. Your website should say something visually before they even read a word. Okay, so if you go to like the classic, like old school chain physical therapy clinics, you can really see like these websites, they're super cluttered, they're text heavy, they really have no direction here at all. But if you go to a more progressive physical therapy website, Ripple is my old clinic. They do a really good job with this. There's not a lot of text on there. There's just big, bold statements, bold headlines like getting you back to doing the things that you love. There's, awesome photos there. We have a lot of like edited photos as well, even the professional photos. And somebody goes to our website and they understand like, okay, this is going to be something that's a little different than your traditional healthcare experience. And that's exactly what we want. So we need to be able to visually show people on the website that we are the place that they want to go. And we do that by making your website easily scannable and tell stories with your headers and with your images. So this is a really important part. That's going to be pillar number 2. Now you're telling a clear story, but you're probably thinking, cool, like why should the potential patient, why should they trust you, right? If we're only talking about the potential patient and how they're the hero in this story, how do we set ourselves apart, or how do we get them to actually trust you? And that's, again, where this authority piece comes into play. And what we need to really figure out here is like the fine line between making sure that the potential patient is the hero in this story, but how do we show authority without actually bragging? But here's the truth. Your credentials, they don't actually convince patients. Your understanding of the problem does. I talk a lot about empathy and using empathy to create copy that helps people convert, okay? So what empathy can do on your website is, you want to create copy and, photos and, tell that story of you understand what they're going through. We have a line on Ripple's websites where, it's something along the lines of, we understand that it sucks when you can't push it anymore. We like to push it as well, and it's awful when we can't do that. We're just resonating with the potential patient, right? And whatever your demographic is, you really just need to just meet them where they're at and say like, hey, listen, like I've been in your shoes. I know how awful it is when you've got back pain and you can't play golf over the weekend. That is what people actually care about. And you're showing the authority there by resonating with them and saying like, hey, we like to do the same activities as you do. It's also important to understand, right? Like nobody cares about your degree until they believe you actually understand them. And that's why having that empathy piece becomes really important. It's like, okay, hey, like I'm empathetic with you. We're the same person. We're, again, if maybe you're a runner and you work with a ton of runners, if you can talk about that, and then you naturally can position your authority to say like, hey, not only am I a runner, but I also have my doctorate in physical therapy. I've taken all of these running courses. I've helped over 500 runners in the area recover faster, PR their marathons, et cetera, et cetera. You're doing a really awesome job there of bridging the gap between empathy and authority and not making it all about you. You're showing your authority with all of your education, all of the Con Ed that you've taken, all of the people that you've actually helped, but you're still making it about the potential patient at the end of the day, which is really, really important. We've obviously talked a ton about this. And I think the other side of like authority and building authority without talking about yourself too much is going to be case studies and testimonials. So when you go to your website, again, this is not copy in the traditional sense where you're just putting words on a website and hoping people read it. you are telling a story, you're creating copy through images, visuals, and hopefully videos if you have them. Video testimonials are one of the best ways to get people to actually move forward. But why testimonials is a really good way to show authority is because somebody else is talking about you, and a potential patient will watch that video, read that review, read that case study, and they'll put themselves in the shoes of the person that is talking or left that review. And because they're talking you up, that review is going to resonate with them a ton, and it's going to show authority that you know what the heck you're doing. And that's a really good reason why somebody's going to want to come and work with you. So again, how do we sprinkle these things in? Go to your own website, do a review right now, and just see like, how much social proof do I have on my website? You can have one of those Google review plugins. Please don't use the free version of one of those. That looks so chintzy on a website and cheap, and that's not what we want on there. But you can use one of those, the paid versions. Those look really nice. You can also add in like some sections there where you have like a 5-star and the text. That's going to take a little bit of legwork, right, to pull those reviews and manually put that on there. But it's really important at the end of the day to make sure you have a couple parts of social proof on your website and on each page of your website as well. And one thing I always like doing with the social proof side of things, and again, how we're telling that story, is going to be highlighting people as who they are. What type of athlete are they? So if you go to Ripple's website, you can see all of our social proof, but we have Will, who's a runner, or Jamie, who's a snowboarder, or David, who's a skier, or whatever it might be. And you have to obviously tailor that to your own demographics, but that's what you want to be looking for. And the more you can speak to your demographic and your potential patients, the more likely they're going to be to actually move forward and want to work with you guys. So that's going to be something that you're going to want to have. It's going to be the third pillar, which is, authority without bragging. So if we're talking about copy on your website, copy, the most important thing that you can have on your website, something that you should be looking to revamp on every quarter, every 6 months, and going in and, one thing you need to know, right, is like, how well is your website actually converting? If you don't know those numbers, then it's really hard to understand, like, is my copy working or not? So that's where something like a HubSpot will come into play, Google Search Console, Google Analytics. Those things can help you understand the amount of people that go to a website page and the amount of people that fill out a form or call or whatever it might be. So that's first step with all this stuff. And then what you can do is you can understand, like, okay, these website pages aren't converting. 9 times out of 10, what you need to update there is going to be the copy and the flow of the website, which is really all the 3 pillars that we talked about today. So pillar number 1 is going to be the patient is the hero in the story, and you are the guide. Pillar number 2 is going to be your website needs to be scannable, and it needs to visually tell a story. So use bold headlines, not a ton of text copy, and use professional photos that tell a story about what it looks like to work with you and how you're going to help that potential patient get to what their aspirational identity is. And then pillar number 3 is going to be authority without bragging. So do not talk about yourself and your education, your credentials throughout your whole website. What you want to do is you want to empathize with the potential patient, meet them where they're at, show them that you understand what you're dealing with and how hard that is, and give social proof of, hey, here's all the other people that we've worked with. Here is, their experience working with us. That's how you're going to show authority at the end of the day. And this is something that you can change on your website today, right? Like, go, run yourself through those 3 pillars and just see, like, are my pages, do each one of my pages do this? This is not just for the homepage, right? This is for your homepage, your PT services page, your About Us page, even your contact page should do this. So, here's the game plan. Make your patient the hero of the story. Structure your site so that it tells the story fast, visually, and through clear copy, and build trust by showing outcomes, not just your degrees. If you realize your website might be missing the mark, then, I've got something for you. You can grab your free Revamp Your Website kit. It's in the description of this episode. You can head over there, grab the link. Again, it's totally free. It's got, the exact homepage wireframe that you need to be setting up for your website. So how do you section in all of these things? And you can add in your own photos, your own brand colors, and make it your own. There's a 40-point website checklist there, and there's an opportunity to get website SEO and a local SEO audit done for your current website. So this is really 4 really big values. I hope you guys enjoy that. As always, appreciate you listening. And if you enjoyed this pod, make sure you subscribe.